I haven't really spoken about magic items in this series yet, and I won't really today, but I will talk about the required ingredient of one. Today we will talk about the source of a blue-black cloak that, while you wear it, projects an illusion that makes you appear to be standing near your location, causing any creature to have a disadvantage on attack rolls against you. Today we talk about the Displacer Beast. Now, just to reel in those item-hungry hoarders a second, the Cloak of Displacement is a wondrous magic item that requires attunement, and it is rare. You can't just kill a Displacer Beast and get this item. Nope, it requires magic to craft, and boy does that cost money. Crafting a wondrous magic item works out around 200 days of labour, 5,000 gold pieces, and the special feats and magic crafting ability to craft the item itself. So it's going to take more than just killing a Displacer Beast. The Displacer Beast has been in the game since 1975. It was introduced as part of the Greyhawk supplement and has graced the monster manual of each edition since. It's actually a creature inspired by A. Van Voigt's 1939 science fiction story, The Black Destroyer. The beast in that series was named a Coral. So this is actually one of the sources which Gary Gygax took inspiration from that is not listed on the Appendix N. I have a short coming up soon to do with the Appendix N for those of you who don't know what that is. And let's talk about Displacer Beasts physically for a second here. They can grow between 8 to 12 feet long, have clawed feet, have 4 forelegs and smaller hind legs, so 6 legs total, a tail that's about half their length long, 2 long tentacle-like pseudopods with flat pads at the end littered with barbs. And they look like large pumas or panthers, and there have been instances of almost mutated Displacer Beasts that can be twice as large as regular creatures. These are known as pack lords. They're more intelligent and they would dominate any pack of Displacer Beasts, leaving them likely to wreak havoc on any isolated villages or small towns. They have a bluish black fur, can range from swole with muscle to almost emaciated, but are vicious regardless. They have glowing green eyes that can also sometimes appear yellow. And a wee note on their eyes, they don't stop glowing, even after they die. Some on Toril, the continent where the Forgotten Realms is based, believe that these are actually lucky tokens. Myself, I interpret this as since Displacer Beasts are able to see each other no matter their current state, displacing or otherwise, if you have one of these eyes, it's almost as if you're warding off the monsters, letting them know that you see them too. That's just my little flavour on it, of course. There is nothing to back up this, and definitely isn't a game mechanic. Or maybe you want to make it one. You're the DM, you decide. I'm just here to try and inspire you. Now to the actual mechanics. They are a large monstrosity, AC 13, normally 85 or so hit points, challenge rating 3, dark vision for 60 feet, and a couple of traits we can discuss, those being avoidance and displacement. But before we discuss those, I want to take a look at the actions listed for the Displacer Beast. For being such a ferocious looking animal, cat-like in nature, and the ability to move with such speed and strength, you would think there would be a claw attack or a bite attack in there, and of course there isn't, and to explain that we simply need to look at their physiology. The 4 forelegs would spread out, allowing the beast to lower their head in defense, while their tentacles would do the majority of the attacking. With their length, it only makes sense for them to risk the damage to these long pseudopods while staying relatively out of reach. It isn't outlined here, but it is likely that when they can't use their tentacles, they would use their powerful forelegs to grab hold of their prey and then bite them, using their hind legs to maneuver themselves. Kinda like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So their main mechanics, avoidance, is essentially the evasion ability players can get. So any action against the Displacer Beast that would call for a saving throw for half damage, or no damage, or full damage. Instead, they would just have half damage on a failure and no damage on a success. So this helps against spellcasters with large area of effect spells. The second listed trait, Displacement, is the main ability of the monster. Displacement is the Displacer Beast's ability to project an image of itself up to 5 feet away while masking its true location. This causes attack rolls against the Displacer Beast to have disadvantage until it is hit, upon which the true location of the beast is revealed until the end of its next turn, whereupon it begins to displace its location again. This is described as a magical ability, however it isn't affected by a Dispel Magic spell or an anti-magic zone. Instead, it's actually affected by the beast's ability to move, or lack thereof. So if they're restrained or incapacitated, the displacement effect does not work. This leads to the theory that Displacer Beasts cause this phenomenon by vibration. They emit a vibration at the frequency of light in order to manipulate the illusion. Kinda cool. Now, moving on to their origins, and we don't know where they came from. Simple. They were bred and used by the Unseelie Court in the Feywild until the Seelie Court had blink dogs chase them out through portals to the Prime Material Plane. There's also another story that says that the Displacer Beast actually revolted and the Unseelie Court used blink dogs instead. to chase them, but the Seelie Court, or Unseelie Court, it kind of flips and flops between who did what. And they are just basically the good and evil forces of the Feywild, like the Justice League and the Injustice League. Very creative naming. Anyway, we have no confirmed source of their creation, and many believe they were created, since when they are born, yes, displacer kittens, they're cute. They're born with their eyes open, they've got fangs, and they eat meat despite their mothers having milk. However, they can also hit maturity at around 4 months as well. As this is not seen in any species, it's likely that some wizard, since it's always wizards, had their hand in the creation of these beasts. Myself, I think they're definitely Fey, but not from the Feywild. Something that twisted is properly alien, but as they're inherently evil, I think they're probably from the Shadowfell. Wanted to address the Displacer Kitten too, because these are cute, and honestly I want one in game. And there are homebrew stat sheets for them, and I think if you want to give them to your players as pet, I would only recommend doing so as a familiar. The reason for this is that Displacer Kittens, they sprout their tentacles at 8 weeks. Before that, they essentially look like normal house cats and are just as playful, but with 6 legs. After this time, they begin to grow at roughly 1 inch a day for the next 2 years. So they get big and they get vicious, quick. Also, the inherently evil thing. You as a DM could overrule this, but there is likely no way to tame a wild Displacer Beast no matter when you begin rearing them. This is the other thing we haven't really spoken about yet as well, is the intelligence level of Displacer Beasts. It actually puts them in a different category of monster almost. To elaborate, a wild animal in D&D has an intelligence of 3. 3 is the minimum you can have, anything else or anything less and you can't communicate. A Displacer Beast has an intelligence score of 6. This means that they can plan ambushes, track, hide and discern threat. And they actively enjoy focusing on attacking spellcasters over martial adventurers as they discern that the threat in melee combat is minimal because of them. Some publications have said they can even speak common. Personally, I don't like that for any of my games because I see them as smart enough not to speak, but you do with that what you will. And we're kind of coming to a close on the Displacer Beast, but before I do, we have to talk about their greatest foe, blink dogs. To briefly summarize, a blink dog is a dog that can teleport or blink a short distance. It uses this in ambushes, attacking and defending itself, yada yada, you can probably picture the rest. As I previously mentioned, these dogs were used by the Seelie Court or Unseelie Court to chase them out of the Feywild. What I didn't mention is that they don't only hate each other for this reason, and no, their hate and disdain is actually biological. See, there's an entry, and I will give its name at the end of this video, in an old Dragon magazine article that pondered that the displacing ability and the blinking abilities acted kind of like a nails and chalkboard but amplified across the body of both the Displacer Beasts and the blink dogs. Blink dogs learned to mask it while hunting Displacer Beasts, but they were, if they ever were to see each other, they would probably kill each other until one was left. And here I thought it was just because cats and dogs. Alright, I'll leave you with these little bits. For a greater challenge, for higher level players, check out the Arena Guy's revised Displacer Beast stat sheet. They address some of the missing traits of the monster manual entry, such as a pounce ability, stats for bite and claw attacks, and they provide a logical climb speed, which, in my opinion, any feline-like creature should have. And just a little interesting fact here as well, the Amy Van Vogt creature was also an inspiration for another deadly vicious alien, and you are familiar with it, the Xenomorphs. From Ridley Scott's Alien series, which is also a manufactured creature that can kind of displace light, remove itself from thermal imaging kind of thing. And if you're ever adventuring in Baldur's Gate and need a pint to lift your spirits, head on over to the Elf Song Tavern, where they have a room known creatively as the Displacer Beast Room, where you will find the mounted head of a Displacer Beast on a plaque. And speaking of things that start with Baal, some in the Forgotten Realms believe that Baal, the god, Lord of Murder, brought the first Displacer Beast through a corrupted moonwell on the Isle of Gwyneth in the Moonshae Isles. And for that article I spoke about earlier, more info, if you can get hold of it, the Displacer Beast was detailed in Dragon magazine number 109 in the May issue. This was the Ecology of Displacer Beasts article. Right folks, this is my first video of the new year. I will have my last video of the last year here, where I talk about other tentacle monsters, aboleths. And right folks, I'm hoping to be off to a good start with this year, and hope you subscribe and come along and watch the other videos too, and yeah, take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next video. My Displacer Beast didn't make a appearance this time. Tito, the cat. She hates me. No, she was actually in here earlier, but she got fed up with all the lights. She doesn't like the lights. So, yeah. Right. Okay. I've waffled too long now. Is it still a thing that 10-minute videos are good? I don't know. Anyways, okay. Right. Bye.